Let's go!
Hey everybody, Coach Scott here, and today my subject is GMOs. I sent out an email recently talking a little bit about GMOs, and when people refer to GMOs, they're talking about genetically modified organisms. They're talking about crops that have been developed through this genetic engineering, which is really a more precise way of what we call plant breeding. That's right, plant breeding. And genetic engineering is also referred to as what's called biotechnology. What happens is that it allows the plant breeders or the people who are growing the crops to take a desirable trait that's found in nature and transfer it from one plant to another or one organism to another because they want to improve on that quality of that trait and they want to make some changes to the existing traits that they're trying to develop. So this can be very, very confusing. It's been very, very alarming to some people. And so I want to kind of open up the discussion and talk a little bit about what GMOs are and why people grow GMOs and then what's coming next as it relates to our health. Because GMOs are created really, like I said, to achieve that desired trait. Things like insect resistance. This is a positive, by the way. This category of trait provides farmers with that season-long protection against these pests, and it reduces the need for pesticides applications, insecticides, and it also lowers the input cost of that particular plant. Another thing that it can produce is what we call drought tolerance. And genetically modified crops that have a drought tolerance have a better what we call moisture retention. It can better endure conditions like drought and high heat and weather with long periods without needing additional irrigation. Another one would be herbicide tolerance. This is another thing that we've talked about a lot in the past. But plants and crops that are developed to tolerate specific herbicides allow farmers to fight weeds by applying these targeted herbicides only when they need to, and then it enables them to use conservation and the methods that they use for tillage and preserve the topsoil and to prevent erosion and reduce carbon emissions, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But this is a very, very important reason that people use GMOs. The other thing is disease resistance, and this if you know anything about farming and agriculture, you know that disease can wipe out a whole crop of plants. And so with this genetic engineering, what these farmers can do is it enables the plants to resist certain diseases. And so that's always beneficial to make sure that you shield against any type of long-term crop loss. So the genetically modified plants can also again be allowed to be grown in different areas of the country. And this, when you have a disease-resistant crop, then it can really shield you from outbreaks of devastating diseases that can really cripple the industry and really destroy plants and crops as a whole. The other thing too that, interestingly enough, GMOs provide is what we call enhanced nutritional content. So genetically modified things like soybean have an enhanced oil profile, much like olive oil. They've been developed and a longer lasting trans fat free type food can be developed out of this. You can actually reduce the food waste. So genetic engineering has been used to, again, modify things like potatoes and apples in order to eliminate the superficial browning and bruising. And so when that produce is cut or is handled, it doesn't bruise as easily. And so these traits can actually help reduce the amount of produce that's thrown away by the producers and the processors and the retailers and even us, the consumers. And so that's actually a positive. But when you actually peel back the layers, you think about what are the most commonly used GMOs that we consume as consumers. What's in our food supply? And there's several GMO crops worldwide. The most that I'm aware of are things like soybean, corn, cotton, canola, alfalfa. Those are 5 of the top ones. And although the verdict is really still out for discussion, ultimately it's our choice to be educated and make better decisions about the food that our food supply or the foods that we consume. So if you're on the side of avoiding or limiting GMOs, again, that's kind of the way I'm at right now. I don't really eliminate all the GMOs because sometimes, GMOs are not really going to be proven to be harmful. And some are again, the verdict is still out on the others. So here's how you avoid GMOs. Number one, you need to look for the USDA organic seal, because organically grown foods are strictly certified and not allowed to contain any GMO ingredients. Like all of our Hill products, by the way. So all of our products are GMO certified, they're GMO free. And that's the second thing. You've got to look for foods that are verified as GMO free. The two most common verification programs that I'm aware of are a program called the Non-GMO Project and the GMO Guard. So you can look both of those up online and get some more information for them. Number 3, be aware of buying most processed foods, because a lot of processed foods contain GMOs. And one way to really stay away from GMOs is eat a lot of fresh and even frozen produce. With the exception of corn, beets, zucchini, a majority of frozen fruits is actually GMO free, so that's a positive. And number 5, you could always grow your own food using non-GMO seeds, or you can buy from local farmers like we do in a farmers or farmers market. This is always a good way of avoiding GMO products. If that's a concern of yours. And we'll continue to investigate this, continue to unravel this. So if you're unsure or if it doesn't even matter to you, that's fine. But just be aware that there are foods out there being genetically modified and engineered for very specific purposes. Some of them, I believe, can be beneficial. And then on the other hand, some of them are not probably going to be as healthy and beneficial for our bodies, because just like our bodies and our lives have a frequency, so does food. Food has a frequency as well. So if our body doesn't recognize that frequency because it's genetically modified from the way God created it, then many times we won't get the benefit of that food as we would like to have. So again, I hope this kind of clears up the GMO side of things. And if you've got any questions about GMO products or what specifically, is there anything else I can weigh in on, be more than glad to help you research that and weigh in on that as well. So, but until next time, remember, just use your good rules of thumb as you're buying your food and your food supply. Try to get fresh and stay on those outside aisles, and try to get from local farmers and farmers markets or local produce if at all possible. And if you'll do that, I believe and declare that you will be all that you were created to be. So God bless you guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.